Good morning, everyone. It's October 23rd, 2025, and I'm in Zone 7, and it's time to plant garlic. If you're up north, you want to plant it a little earlier, and you use hardneck garlic. If you're in Zone 7 and below, you use soft neck garlic. So what we have here is soft neck garlic in a 100-gallon fabric pot, which I love because as long as you don't put dirt in there with weed seeds in it, like if you dig up dirt out of your yard and put it in there, it's going to have weeds. But if you order from your friendly compost facility, you can add wood chips to it, let it sit for about a week because it's very hot. If you stick your hand in there into compost, it's still hot. It can be 160 degrees. Anyway, we have a 100-gallon pot here, and I have the garlic all set out, the spacing correct, which is 4 to 6 inches. And when you plant it, you want to take the flat part and push that down. The pointy part goes up. So we have two 100-gallon pots, which actually I bought for my blueberries. But last year I ended up just putting compost in there with wood chips and sticks and everything on the very bottom because they will break down after about 2 years. But they're taking space up so you don't have to use so much compost in the pot. So anyway, here we have some big garlic that I grew last year. And 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 10, the way time flies by, I went to Walmart and picked the largest pieces of garlic, heads of garlic that I could find, and soaked them in dish soap for a couple hours because it might have growth inhibitor on it, because in the store they don't want little stems growing out of it because that means it's not as fresh. So they put a growth inhibitor on it so it won't grow. So that's why I put it in dish soap and then rinse it real good and plant it right away. But now that I have my own, you don't have to worry about that. I had like 128 heads last year. So what I do is I take the biggest heads of garlic and use the cloves out of that. And any smaller pieces that come out of there, I use that in my cooking. So if you plant the largest cloves out of the head, you'll get the biggest cloves. In other words, if you plant small cloves, you might not have as big as garlic as you can grow. Which these are pretty good size. Look at that. I mean, that's a good head of garlic right there. So here we have the spacing all out. I counted them. It's 62 I fit in there. So last year in these two pots I grew peppers and eggplant, which came out great. So this year I wanted to amend the soil, so I have these organic pellets, and they have like organic chickens in them, chicken poop, rabbit, and other things that you're going to need to amend your soil. Basically, it's an organic fertilizer. And I dug these pots up to the bottom and put the dirt in a wheelbarrow, and then put the dirt back in and slowly sprinkled these pellets in there. So that way you're going to grow the biggest garlic possible. So to plant these, first you want to have them spaced out like this, anywhere from 4 to 6 inches. Mine are about 6 inches, and sometimes it might be 5, but you need to give them space, because if you put them too close, you'll have little garlic. Also with these pots, it does get dry around the edges because, you know, it breathes air. These pots do. If you have like a plastic pot, you might be able to get a little closer. But I went ahead and put them like 4 inches from the edge. And what you do, like we'll say this piece of garlic right here, you put the flat piece down, and now that you have the spacing right, you can just push it into the dirt. Kind of wiggle it a little bit. So it's down like an inch below the surface, and then you can just cover it up a little bit, just like that. So this pot I planted a couple days ago, and it's going to rain tonight and for the next couple days, so it's a good time to plant them. But before you push them in, you want to moisten the soil, get it nice and wet, wait a couple hours, and then come out and push the garlic right in there. So all together, 62 and 62, that's going to be 124 heads of garlic next year. And it does take about 6 months to grow. And I think I pull my garlic around June in zone 7, northwest Arkansas. Another good thing about these fabric pots, you can see they're fabric. That's a 100-gallon pot, and I've only got 2 of these. The best thing about them is they're self-pruning. So any plant that goes to the edge, it won't wrap around the pot like a plastic pot, because there's no water. It actually stops and dries up, because being fabric, there's oxygen going in there. Every time the wind blows, it's drying it out on the sides. So they do require a little more watering, but that's not going to happen in the center because it's far away from the edges. And a lot of the stores are selling these, but they're probably not going to sell 100-gallon pots, you know, if you want the big ones. But the good thing about the big ones is, you know, last year I probably put 3 pepper plants in here and 1 big eggplant plant that basically took over the whole thing. But the peppers still lived. And I'm pretty sure I bought these from a company called Gardens. It ends with a Z instead of an S. And they're a lot more inexpensive than like clay pots or plastic pots, because, you know, you could go to Lowe's and get like a 20-gallon. It'll cost you like 40 bucks. This is a 100-gallon, and it probably costs $15. And they do last. I have some that I have blueberries in, like these right here. They mostly are losing their leaves now because it's fall, but these are like 40-gallon, possibly 30-gallon, and I've had these for like 8 years. There's a lot of people that will take straw and put it over the top of it once they have them planted, and that holds in moisture and it keeps them from freezing in the winter. But that doesn't happen in zone 7, at least in Arkansas here. I've never had a problem with that, and I've never used any kind of mulch on it. Now get out there and plant some garlic. One thing I failed to mention is you want to keep as much of the paper on the garlic as possible. When you break open the bulbs, and these are the cloves, if it looks like that, go ahead and just leave all that paper on there, because it helps it grow. It keeps out bacteria and stuff. Like any that you broke open and the paper come all the way off like that, go ahead and just use that for cooking. My dirt has a lot of wood chips in it, and they break down, but they kind of get in the way when you're planting garlic. So one thing you can do is like take your finger and just wiggle it a little bit, make a little hole like 2 inches deep, and then go ahead and drop your garlic in there. Give it a little push. And once they're all done, you can just cover it up. If you do it too early, then you won't know where you planted it. You might not get the spacing right. You could also use a stick or a little spade if you got one. Now get out there and plant some garlic. It's good for your health. I actually take 1 or 2 cloves, not every day, but a couple times a week. Cut them up, wait 10 minutes or 15 minutes because it grows some kind of chemical on them that's really good for you. And then go ahead and just have a glass of water ready. Chew them up a little bit if you want, or you can just swallow it whole after it's cut up. Then it won't be whole, but anyway, it's good for you. It lowers your blood pressure, thins your blood a little bit. So if you're on blood medication, you don't want to eat it. So now I'm just brushing my hand across the top to cover it up. It's about 1 inch below the surface.